Well, that's embarrassing. Hi, everybody. Welcome to season 2 of After the Split. It's good to be back. For those of you that don't already know, this is a deep dive interview show going to the lives of speedrunners. All right, I'm gonna just, clear that out real quick, try and get my head back to being focused. You can find this podcast on any place you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple, or if you like a nice face to go with things, then YouTube. We do also have a new YouTube channel, actually, as of today. So if you guys would want to drop a sub, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to separate it from the main channel just because I feel like it is too much in one place. So now it'll be easier for everybody to find the episodes for the people you love. Hi to everybody joining us, and hopefully soon we'll be on the front page of speedrun.com and out the other GaffeyTaffy with the E at the end there. But as this is, only the second episode we've ever done live, and it's been a little bit, it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve. And for those of you that don't know, the plan for today is to kind of have our conversation for about 60 to 90 minutes, and then open up the floor to you guys, the viewers, ask any questions you want. Now today, I'm honored to have a fellow interviewer, a variety speedrunner, and somehow my first Super Mario 64 runner, NicV. So happy Easter, and how are you doing?
Hello. Yes, I'm doing great today. I'm actually really excited for this. I've been looking forward to it all week.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, definitely, I was kind of struggling for a little bit a couple months ago just to try and balance everything. And so I'd reached out to quite a few people, and I hope I didn't burn too many bridges with, hey, we'll do it soon TM. So
yeah, it's tough. It can get really tough to do, just balancing stuff in general and life and stream and everything else.
For sure. Now, I was actually wondering, are you doing anything for Easter today? I hope we're not holding you back from anything.
My family's never been a big Easter family, and now I live on my own, and I just kind of completely forgot about Easter. You asked me Tuesday or Wednesday, hey, you want to do it Sunday? And I'm like, yeah, Sunday's chill. Why not? I don't care. Sunday's usually relaxed. And then Thursday night, my girlfriend's like, oh, what are we doing for Easter? I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
But I had a nice little breakfast this morning. I'll probably paint some eggs and eat chocolate later, but nothing right now.
Yeah, it actually just kind of worked out. I was talking to our mutual friend Logic actually just last week, and he kind of inspired me. Yeah, I love the guy. He inspired me to get back into doing things, and so I was like, yeah, you know what, maybe in a few weeks, I'll do another episode. Let me ask Nick, because he's been heavily requested from people that have been on the show already. And sure enough, you're like, yeah, I can do in the next couple days. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, I think I'm totally a person that if I don't plan it now, I'll do the same thing soon, probably next week, probably. Well, we'll see. probably, maybe just let me know next week. I'll tell you that we might do it sometime in the next month, maybe. But I've had to stop myself from doing that. So next few days, let's do it now. I don't want, because I'm just as bad at that.
Well, I'm happy with it now. Because I feel like once you start doing something, you just kind of stick with it, build a good routine.
It's much easier once you get the ball rolling. That is for sure.
Now, recurring thing around here, and I'm going to take a wild guess. I like to ask, how did people decide on their screen names? And it seems like me, you didn't stray too far from originality.
It's actually pretty. So, funny story. My last name's hard to pronounce, and so I was actually in the ROTC in high school, which is a military program for high schools.
Mm-hmm.
I got wrapped into it because I was in a crappy class and my best friend was in it, and he was like, come join me, and I was like, sure, why not, whatever. And so since it's military, the teacher was a first sergeant, he would call everyone by their last names.
Mm-hmm.
And so my last name's really hard to pronounce, and he had just not really addressed me for the first 2 or 3 months of class. But there's one day where he was there's a group of us sitting, and he was just calling out, he was talking to us, and he was like, Sanchez, Rodriguez. I went to a very Hispanic school. Sanchez, Rodriguez, Garcia, NicV. Because he just did not know how to pronounce my last name. And then Yeah, when I was like, I've never had a really good screen name, so I was just like, okay, NicV. I liked it. People liked it. Thought it was cool.
It's wild to me the concept of like an ROTC class being a thing. And I'm like, I don't feel like any other country would probably do this except
No,
for America.
no, yeah, it's kind of weird.
I I didn't pick to be in it, but I also did it. And I'm like, man, this sucked. But it was kind of a free A, so I was like, yeah, I don't hate it though. Except one time I was ready to fight. I had longer hair in high school for sure, and like, oh, we don't want it touching your collar. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
too bad. I'll take whatever 0 you want to give me for this one.
yeah, that. I always hated that. Yeah, some people in chat are remembering that I've had a few other names, but NicV's also really nice and short. That's also
Oh
mine.
yeah, for sure.
Four letters, no numbers. That's like the ultimate Twitch username.
We gotta get this man a check mark on Twitter, so that way you can lose the numbers there.
That would be nice, but that's whatever.
And we were talking about this before. I always run into the struggle. I almost regret it now, but so Gaffey is shocker my last name. And so I was like, oh yeah, just always because like the candy Laffy Taffy in America, I always heard, oh, GaffeyTaffy. I'm like, okay, so I made it my PlayStation 4 name way back when, and I was like, yeah, I don't really use Twitch. I'll just make it my Twitch name too. And sure enough, now I'm a couple years later, I think I'm pretty heavily invested, and I'm like, oh well, I should have maybe, I don't know, got rid of the E in my name or something, or added one to Taffy, but just it felt right.
That's like one thing you always gotta like. Not everyone thinks about is like you want a name that's easy to spell, easy to remember. If you're trying to market yourself, if you're trying to market yourself at all, no numbers, easy to spell, easy to remember.
And that was my biggie, yeah. Like I didn't want underscores or numbers. The 360 era is well behind us. XX Gaffey XX. But for anybody that might not already know who you are, listeners of the show, what have you run in the past?
Okay, so I'm most known for Mario 64. I think that's like the community I've spent the most time in, and the most people who watch my Mario 64 speedruns. But I've done a ton of games. I started off with Kingdom Hearts. That was like my first speedrun I ever took seriously. Um, I've ran a shit ton of games. I ran a bunch of games before Kingdom Hearts, but I didn't do it for more than like a week.
Just
Then I
kind
started
of
running
feel
Kingdom
it
Hearts.
out.
Yeah. Then I ran Kingdom Hearts for like 6 months. Then I ran Ocarina of Time for a little bit. Then I ran Mario 64 for like about a year, a little bit over a year. Um, and that's like I think where I made like the most people knew me from and like that kind of stuff. And then I've messed around with like some other stuff since then because I kind of got burnt out on Mario, and then now somehow I'm back to Zelda.
Which, I mean, it seems like all kind of in that older Nintendo realm for sure.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do a lot of older Nintendo stuff. I do. Like I said, for games I've taken seriously, I've done Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I've done a little bit of Paper Mario. But I've also like just messed around with other games. I've done Super Metroid. Messed around a little bit with Super Mario World. I used to do Celeste. Man, what else have I done? Super Mario Sunshine.
I love that game. Both Celeste and Sunshine, actually.
Yeah,
they're two of my goats.
Man, what else have I messed around with? A lot of stuff. Definitely just like I like to just like pick up games and randomly speedrun them sometimes just for like the fun of learning it and kind of.
Oh yeah, it's always fun.
I did a run of Final Fantasy X once.
Ooh, how long was that?
Oh, 14 hours.
Oh god.
Because I did it blind because I'm a genius. So I was like,
well,
yeah,
as one does, yeah.
That one took like 14 hours. I did a little bit of Mario Galaxy. Yeah, so
did you at least race it with anyone, or are you just like, yeah, I can do this. This will be fine.
I had friends who had run the game in my chat.
That was okay. That kind of helps.
If you don't know, Final Fantasy X is a pretty simple to learn speedrun. It's pretty straightforward, pretty standard. There's like a really good guide on it. And I had people in chat still don't do a like 9-hour plus speedrun blind though.
Yeah, it's probably not recommended.
How good the guide is or anything. Like it was way too long, but I did have some helpful people in chat.
There we go. I just wanted to flip me, so I was looking at you. Sorry about that.
Now, I don't know if you usually read chat during the interviews, or should I close chat because I get too distracted?
It's up to you. You know, if you feel like you can do both, then no worries. They're definitely there to see you. So
I get too distracted from chat. I'm sorry. I gotta close you guys. I love you guys, but I'll just start talking to you guys.
Now you kind of brought it up, so I hope you don't mind talking about it so much. But you said like you live on your own.
Oh yeah, yeah. About a year ago, I moved to Colorado. I grew up in
Oh,
California.
congrats.
I grew up in California in like the suburbs of Los Angeles for my entire life. And then a lot of stuff happened all at once right around the time COVID started, which was really fun. I love when life shakes up
Mm-hmm.
at the same time the world goes into a pandemic. But about this time last year, actually, like as of 2 days ago, I've been in Colorado for 1 year. Uh, Me and my girlfriend, we wanted to move out into our own place, but if you know anything about LA, it's incredibly
Pretty
expensive.
expensive, yeah.
Yeah. So we knew we couldn't really like get a place in Los Angeles or even near there. Plus, I mean, I think it's a good thing to move away. I lived like
Oh, for
before I moved,
sure.
I lived like 3 blocks from my high school, and I was like, this sucks.
I
I
mean,
hate this
LA can't be
so.
too bad, you know. I feel like there's enough culture there. Not always
It,
the best, but you know, it's culture.
it's one of those things that like it's nice, but like when you've lived there your whole life, it's not that nice. Like it's
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
I understand that there's a lot of cool stuff. The city's not that far. I lived 15 minutes from the mountains, 30-45 minutes from the beach. Like I've literally, that was like the nice part is like
Mm-hmm.
one day me and my girlfriend went to the beach. We're like, this place is kind of crowded. Let's go to the mountains instead, and we just drove to the mountains instead.
I grew up a Florida man, and it was only like 2 days after my 19th birthday. I was like, yes, I'm moving away.
Yeah.
Which I think it's really important for sure. You get to experience other parts of life and maybe even discover things about yourself that you didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. I think now that I'm living here on our own, it's like it's a lot different. And yeah, you definitely learn a lot more things, and you're in a new area, and you get to start a new life, and you get to like push all the stuff from behind
Mm-hmm.
and move forward. I think it's really good.
So your girlfriend came with you from LA.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, especially to just kind of pack up and go.
Yeah, we like to do that sometimes. We actually 4 years ago, I think it was about 4 years ago, we just said screw it, and we decided to pack up a bunch of our stuff in our car, and we drove around the country for 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
just in my just a little Nissan Altima, and we drove across the entire country for 3 months.
I was actually looking to do that because I had just moved back from Japan, but it was peak COVID, and I was like, you know what? Traveling and everything isn't super great because this is, I
Yeah,
mean, December of 2020. So, but so like, what kind of places did you go to? I'm super envious.
man, we went everywhere. So we started in LA, and we drove up the coast all the way to Seattle. Then we drove up top a little bit in the middle because we went down to Colorado where we were to visit some friends at the time. Then we went back up all the way. We went to New York and like the East Coast. We went to Canada. We saw like Niagara Falls. We
Oh,
like
nice.
went to Maine, which was really nice because like we started in the southwest and we ended up in the northeast. We stayed in the northwest for a while. Then we went down to Florida. Then our car broke down,
Naturally in Florida.
and we got screwed over by a mechanic. And then we got our
Oh.
car barely over to Mississippi, where it broke down again. Then we got
Ugh.
towed to Louisiana. Car broke down again. Then we
Really? What kind
finally
of stuff's
made it.
happening? Like, I mean, I guess you're going on a long trip, anything can happen, but
Yeah, I think there was an issue with one of our sensors. I can't remember what it was called, and then it affected our engine. And the first guy like kind of screwed us by not really fixing it. And then by the time we got to the next mechanic, there was really not much to do. It was like it had already screwed our
oh,
engine.
really? Completely just
Yeah,
screwed it.
so we eventually broke down in Texas when our car just started smoking, and I was like, "All right, I think that's what you call it. I think that's when you call it when the car's smoking." So we're like in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and we're the luckiest unlucky people because like breaking down in the middle of Texas sounds awful, but it just so happens that AAA can tow me 100 miles. 100 miles away is Houston, and my cousin just happens to be in Houston for a concert and is
Oh,
willing to pick us up
that's
and take us
awesome.
back to Austin to where they live, and I could stay with them until I fly home.
Hey, sometimes, I mean, that's just convenient. Plus, major airports for sure are nice to have
So,
nearby.
but yeah, so we went mostly along the coast, like all the way up the west coast, all the way along the north and the east coast, a lot of it.
Now, I know a big thing that I had on my itinerary was kind of to hit the national parks, like go see Glacier and Banff and stuff like that. What kind of trips did you do while in the places?
Yeah, so we did what's it called? Yellowstone.
Oh,
But
nice.
we did like a lot of like you can actually buy a pass for national parks and just go to any national park you want for like a year. It's like $80 and it's great. We
Mm-hmm.
went to like a few of them. I can't remember all the names. I know we went to Yellowstone in Wyoming. Only good part of Wyoming, by the way. Do not go
Yeah,
to the other 99% of Wyoming. It's awful.
I'd probably pass.
Anyone viewers in Wyoming, I'm sorry. I don't feel bad. It's a terrible state. Um, Yellowstone was beautiful. We went to like a lot of stuff in like the northeast was just gorgeous because we were going, it was like October. So like the leaves were just starting to change color, but there was also still a ton of green.
Well, there's got
And
to be
just
that
all
huge contrast coming from California too, because I mean that's got everything. It's beautiful, but it's very different going to the Northeast.
yeah, no, like going to like we went to a forest in Vermont and it was just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like it was just a deep forest. Like if you've gone to like a lot of like national parks, a lot of them have like especially go like Yosemite, Yellowstone, the big ones. Like they have like cities basically. Like they have rangers everywhere and shops and tons of people. But we went to like this one forest in Vermont and it was just like empty, like nobody. Dirt roads. We parked, had to walk like a mile for our campsite. Everything's just super green and we were like camping right there next to the lake and it's just beautiful.
Oh yeah,
I
and
th-
you gotta love that.
yeah, I think if you want to do like nature stuff, I say the Northeast just has, especially like a little bit past New York, like that Vermont, New
Hmm.
Hampshire, Maine area, like it's just super green and super pretty.
So, is there anything that stood out like on the trip? They're like, yes, we are going to move to Colorado.
Um, I don't think there's anything in particular about any place. It was just like, yeah, we need to move out.
I mean, hey, that's.
Like there's so much more country. Like it's
Hmm.
crazy when you're traveling because like when you drive across the entire country, you really get a sense of how big the country is. Because like you know it in your head, but when you drive it, you're like, wow, I've been driving for a month. I'm
Yeah,
still
that's
going.
crazy.
Um,
Definitely
and
like a nice
so
bed and a shower, like at your own house, just kind of relax. You gotta yearn for it a little bit, but that sense of discovery is just so awesome at the same time.
yeah, like I said, when you realize how big it all is, you're like, okay, I gotta move out to other places. I can't just stay in one place my entire life. I mean, if just the U.S. is this big, I want to move to other countries too someday.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard to do, but
Yeah,
it's very cool. I
yeah, it can be expensive and difficult.
when I was coming back to the States, I was open, and this is the first time in my life. I was like, I get to kind of just choose where I want to go, and I never thought it would be Ohio for sure. And I was looking to either move to Orlando or I have a lot of family up in Michigan, and so I was like, okay, I'll probably I'll just pick one of those. I'm doing the road trip from Florida to Michigan, which is awful. I don't recommend it, but I spent like a whole week. I'm taking slow trips, stop at different people's houses throughout the way, and I stop here and I'm like, wait a minute, Cincinnati's super cool.
Oh, really?
And so yeah, because it's while the rest of the state is a butthole, this is like it's very progressive. It's got like every sport possible, good school, and so I just kind of stayed, and I was like, this is it's hard to do for sure because you only know a couple people, whatever, but having the resources around, like, oh hey, I know I can go visit family. It's close enough, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
Is kind of nice, and but yeah, it's not California for sure. I think that's up there on my bucket list just because I was on the opposite side. But it's also it's a little overrated. It's just having beaches and
California's
mountains and everything within a few hours is cool.
yeah, it just has a lot of different stuff, but
Hmm.
nothing's all that great.
Now, I have to imagine because you have to pay rent and whatnot. Are you employed?
Yeah. Well, I do a few different things. So, for like the last like year, I've actually been doing a combination of savings, Twitch, and video editing, like freelance video editing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to
And
be a competitive field to get into.
get lucky. So,
Maybe network a little bit.
Yeah, I just got lucky. I have 2 people I edit for mainly. I'll do, like, freelance stuff for other people too,
Hmm.
but the 2 people I edit for mainly is, Etchy. I don't know if you know the
Oh
Pokemon
yeah, yeah,
speedrunner
of
Etchy.
course.
Um, we both did Kingdom Hearts, so I knew Etchy when he had, like, 10 viewers, and I
Hmm.
had, like, 2 viewers. And so I just knew him when he was, first starting streaming, and so now that he has, like, over 100 plus viewers and he's doing YouTube, I was like, "Hey, you wanna edit?" And he knows me because 'cause we're friends, and so he's
Yeah,
like,
for
"Sure."
sure.
And so, like, that was just luck. And then because I was editing for Etchy, there's another, streamer, the 4th Gen Gamer. He's another Pokemon YouTuber and streamer, and, he was like, "Hey, I need an editor." And I was like, "Hey, I edit for Etchy," and they know each other because 'cause they're both Pokemon speedrunners. So he knows Etchy, and then he saw my stuff, and he was like, "Okay, I'll hire you." I
Oh,
was like,
that's
"Cool."
awesome. Yeah, it's
So
it
that
really
was
is
just
kind of putting those
luck.
connections to work too. I mean, obviously, it didn't start off as, oh, I'm gonna leech off this person, but
No, no.
more so like actually being able to take something like this hobby and kind of make it more of a profession, I guess is.
Yeah. I Yeah, so I've been doing that a little bit. I actually just also got hired at, like, a hardware store nearby for, like, part-time work. So I'm gonna, like, part-time work there, do editing, streaming, stuff like that.
Do you see like content creation as being something you want to pursue uh further as like a career?
It's tough. I like the hard thing about, like, when you do your own content is there's a lot of instability.
Oh, for sure.
One of the reasons I like video editing is because I still get to, like, kinda make content, I get to edit it,
Mm-hmm.
but I get paid no matter how many views it gets. Like
That is a
I
good
don't
perk.
like, obviously, I'm gonna work hard to make it the best video I possibly can, but I'm not sitting here stressing about, like, "Oh god, am I gonna make enough this month? Is it gonna change?" It's like, "No, I set my rate, I get paid that." And so, like, I really like that. Like, it really sucks when you're making content because, like I said, I spent the last year, like, kind of using Twitch money to help pay rent, and it gets really stressful because it's like, you I don't like asking people for money, but
Yeah.
I also kinda need to, and I'm not great at the balance of, like, okay, well, I wanna run, like, a sub goal or a donation goal, but I don't really know what I wanna do because I wanna give something back, and I feel kinda guilty about it, and it's just, like, this, like, uncomfortable situation for me where I don't like trying to stream for money because then it's
It's a weird
really.
dynamic for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I enjoy this, but now I have to do this, and, like, I'm okay with doing it all the time, but it's, like, it's stressful, it makes it stressful, especially, like, I think if you get into streaming, like, certain things like, viewership and subs and stuff like that, like, they'll go up and down, and when they start going down and you're like, "Oh shit, that's my rent money," it gets real stressful,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start getting in your own head, and then you start getting really frustrated, and it's, like, kind of a cycle I've had where, like, if things start going down, I start getting really stressed, and that's not healthy.
I couldn't imagine it being like a livelihood thing just because I know even at my smaller level, like number go up, me happy, number go down, I'm what did I do wrong? And you kind of link your personality to analytics, which is so unhealthy. And the rational part of your brain's like, no, people are at work, people are just doing other things. But the brain is like, why do I suck? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah. Oh,
it's a
they
hard.
hate this person who has been watching me for 6 months stopped watching me today. Clearly, they hate me. I've ruined everything.
Yeah.
It's probably they just probably deeply hate me on a personal level. Uh,
So,
so
but yeah, to have that be like, oh, your livelihood, and it's just so it's not dependable, which is why I wish I was better at the YouTube game for sure, because having ad money would be great, not like leeching off the people that actually support you. But I'm a garbage video editor, so kudos to you for actually being able to make something out of it, because it just takes me so long. I'm like, I'm not making this well. Like it's taking me 3 times as long as someone, I'm sure.
it's hard. It takes time.
Did you just kind of
Sometimes
beat your
I feel
head
like
against
that.
it, or did you learn from somewhere?
Well, I've been I've been like making videos for since high school, and that was like a big thing I did was editing in high school. So I just yeah, YouTube videos and do it a lot. That's how I learned. Just
Yeah,
YouTube
and
videos and
sounds
do it a
about
lot.
right.
At this point, I've been editing for what, 6 years,
Oh wow,
7 years,
okay.
8 years since I was like a sophomore in high
Dang,
school. But
experience
like
then.
off and on, like not like I haven't been doing it paid for very long. I've only been doing it
Hmm.
paid for the last like 6, 7 months. Most of it was just like my own projects, and I took a long break because I edited like every day for 4 years when I was making my own films and doing school projects and doing all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, hey, I've done this like every day for 4 years. I'm tired, so I stopped for like 2 or 3
Understandable.
years, and then coming back to it.
As with
But
anything, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, hell, so I started off streaming like during the pandemic and whatnot. So it was just a fun little hobby, and I was working full time on top of that. But once I left my job so I could move back to the States and just kind of start going to school full time and whatnot, it's definitely slowed down because for a while I was just like, this is what I do, and I was kind of linking my whole likeliness to it, and I was trying to go
yeah.
live almost every day, and you just burn out, trying to do runs every day, trying to be entertaining every day.
It's such a difficult balance to
Mm-hmm.
find, and it's tough when you look at other people who do that. Like you watch someone else go live every day, be super entertaining, and like their stream does great, and you're like, I want to be that, but you got to remember you're not them,
Yeah, right. Uh,
and like it's okay. That's okay to not be them.
I feel like you Mario runners are a different breed too. Like you kind of have to sell your soul to that game in order to get better to it. I see dudes running for hours on hours, day after day.
Dude, Mario's brutal because no game will make you feel like crap like Mario. So I speed ran Mario for a year, and it took and I in that year I think my highest placing run was technically 70 star at like 120th place. And so I was like, oh man, I spent like a whole year. I'm not even like top 100. I spent a month in Majora's Mask, which is another pretty popular speed game.
Hmm.
Like Majora's Mask is not near the size of Mario, but I think in the general speedrun community, it's known Majora's Mask is a pretty popular
Yeah,
game.
for sure. I
And
mean,
I did
nothing's really the size of Mario. That is just the speed game, you know?
yeah, so I did Majora's Mask, and it's still pretty popular. It's still got quite a few runs, and I did Glitchless, which is a really popular category. I got like 30th in like less than a month.
Oh, really?
I was like, "Oh, I'm not shit. It's just there's a lot of people playing Mario."
Yeah, definitely. It's so
There's just
competitive.
a lot of people. And so when you're comparing against like over like 2,000 runs, like the seven, like most of the like 16-star leaderboard has like over 16-star emulator leaderboard has like over 2,000 runs submitted.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you're comparing against that many people, it gets in your head. But yeah, you gotta really grind hard to get that game to get like anywhere in that game in like the grand scheme of the community.
It's definitely cool, I think, that they have the emulator leaderboard because it just kind of opens the accessibility to everybody.
Yeah, I
So,
think every game, at least every retro game that has like an easily accessible leaderboard should have a way to run on emulator.
hmm.
Whether you do it like Mario, where you have a separate leaderboard, or like I think Sunshine allows emulator up to a certain point, like under like 140 or 135, you can do like if as long as you don't pass that, you can do emulator. I know Ocarina of Time does it 10% of the world record. So as long as you're farther than 10% of the world record, emulator is accepted.
Oh, really? Oh, I think
Yeah,
I've seen that in like, was it Luigi's Mansion, maybe?
maybe. I think that's great. I think you should always allow emulator in some
Hmm.
capacity, just because, especially these older games, like if you want to run and stream Mario, like you need an N64, you need a good controller, you need some type of upscaler or HDMI, or I guess you can do just CRT stuff or a bunch of stuff to do recording with like old
I was gonna say, so
cable.
I take it you're not CRT gang?
I used to be, not anymore.
Oh, there's just something that feels so right about it to me. Which I haven't
And
used like a retro tink yet, so maybe I'm just not converted, but
no, I get it. I get the CRT. I used to be CRT gang, but it stopped working perfectly.
yeah, that'll do
My
it.
TV wouldn't turn on all the time, and it was really big and heavy, and I
I
couldn't see the colors correctly.
I'm kind of glad I've just gotten lucky, I suppose. So as an adult, I was always looking for CRTs because I love to play Melee.
Yeah.
So you need one, right? And people are kind of moving towards monitors a little bit, but it's not quite the same. And purists are like, no, no, we need CRT Melee. But people, because they're older now, are just getting rid of them. So like The one I have here, I actually just found on Facebook Marketplace. They're like, yeah, just come take it. And I'm like, yes, sweet. I will do that. The other one I
Please
found
take this
like
from me.
buried under a pound of dust. It was just in some work closet. I was like,
Wow.
Can I have this?" Like, yeah. Why would you want it? I'm like, you know, it is a reasons and stuff.
Don't tell him I'm playing Melee all day.
I promise I shower.
I play on deodorant.
Do you play it all?
Yeah, Melee was like my first like big competitive game.
Oh,
I started playing back in like 2014.
who's your main?
Marth.
Hmm.
I'm one of those.
Respectable, respectable. You know, most people grow up, but that's okay. I'm just a hater. I've been chain grabbed and hurt too many times.
Why learn the game when I can C-stick?
Oh, true.
No, I like to play Marth or Falco. I don't really play competitively anymore. Like I'm not trying. I'll play with people. I love playing.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
people in Melee, but I'm not like grinding.
It's definitely way healthier not to. Again, it's one of those crackhead games like Mario where you kind of have to just dedicate so much time to even be remotely good.
Yeah.
And I wish I was, but I'm just like, I feel like it's so hard. And
I'm at a nice level where like I'm pretty good. I'm not better than people who are actually good. Like if you're actually good at Melee, you're better than me. But like I'm pretty good.
I think that's probably about the same. I'll go 2-2 at a local, but I'll mess up all my friends. Ayo.
Yeah.
Do you watch Genesis at all? I know that's going on this weekend.
Oh shit! I was gonna and I didn't.
Hey, it's all right. Top 8's tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that tonight.
That's been really cool just because I mean, I think most people are kind of doc kids. So you see the storylines and then you feel invested into it. And so things going out like yesterday. I mean, for example, HBox and Mango played again for the first time in years. I think at like a real major.
Really? Happened? I didn't see.
It wasn't good if you're a fan of the GOAT. He gave up. He completely gave up. He's on losers like super early on. Actually, to somebody in Colorado. He lost to somebody named Fizzwiggle.
That's the Mango.
That's the Mango.
That losing to some random player, then giving up to HBox. That's the Mango.
It was like the last one for the day. So to be out at 9th, I'm like, oh, that hurts.
I've been watching since 2013, 2014, so like I've seen this.
We're
like,
used to it, yeah.
Oh, Mango got lost to some random person. Yeah, that happens sometimes. But I'm excited. I've never been the biggest Mango fan. I know it's like heresy in the Melee community.
No, I mean it's
Mango,
totally. But everybody likes who they like. And you can like them all.
I'm not a big GOAT fan. I'm rooting for Zane. I want to see Zane.
Yeah, guy's cracked for sure. I think it's not an easy win for him, but the bracket looks pretty good for him to win.
I mean, Cody beat him at a Summit, so we'll see.
True.
So I'm excited to see that too.
Now,
if they end up playing.
Kind of jumping back to.
Yeah, sorry, we got on Melee.
Yeah, I could go all day about it, so I have to catch myself and like, all right, I need a transition here. Otherwise, I'm going to go on about. I'm not going to do it now.
Hey, two random scrubs who haven't played Melee in 4 years talk about Melee, the podcast.
Yeah, I'd start that. Hold up. We got an idea. I like to look up guests a little bit, and I think speedrun.com profiles kind of give a little indicator onto what people have done. And yours very much stood out to me. So I don't know if you've seen it in a little while, but there happens to be, and for audio listeners, a tiled wallpaper of a lot of Among Us men shaking their butt, otherwise known as the sussy emote. So how'd you design this masterpiece?
This is such great timing. So, like a week ago, I literally just changed it like a week ago, where me and my friends were all just hanging out in a voice chat, and we were just talking about it, and one of our friends was like, we were talking about, I said, you know, when you are playing a random speed game and you look up world record and it's a silent no webcam gameplay with anime waifu splits, you know it's good. Like, you know that's a good run.
Hey, I've seen that runner, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good run right there. And then we were talking about someone had like a bunch of anime waifus in their background for speedrun.com, and we're like, wait, you could change the background on speedrun.com.
Oh yeah,
So then it just devolved from there. Once me and my friend group found out we can, we just kind of started going wild,
I love
and
it
somehow
actually.
my account ended up at Sussy tiled over the entire thing.
Oh,
So,
I love it.
uh,
What'd your friends wind up putting? Anything equally as good?
yeah, Jaquarium I think has him doing a Fortnite dance tiled in the
Oh
background.
yes, a little orange justice for the fans.
So yeah, that was pretty fun. Either that or it's his like one of his emotes where he's like smiling at the camera. It's really creepy but fun.
I'm thinking I might have to change. I've got GaffeyTaffy, which just the zoomed in face. I might have to tile
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, tiling it is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes off so great.
Now GDQ is coming up. Did you happen to apply?
So I have not ever been to a GDQ. I started speedrunning towards the end of 2019, but I didn't really get enough friends or really like get into it enough to go to a GDQ 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And the pandemic
Which who would have
happened.
known that's the last in-person one? Yeah.
Yeah, who could have known? I would have definitely tried to make it. I was really looking forward to GDQ for SGDQ. I was like, I'm gonna go, I have to go. And I started talking to all my friends, and all of them were like, maybe next time. I'm like,
Really?
okay, yeah. So I don't know many people who are going, so I'm like, do I want to like take the time off work, buy the plane ticket, get the hotel room, and not know, like not have like all my close friends going. So I don't know if I don't think I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to GDQ, unfortunately.
I don't know why. I've just heard so many good stories about people that have gone, and maybe because I was a baby to the scene. I only just started during COVID. And I'm like, oh, the first in person, I bet it's gonna be crazy. I'm like, I have to go. But I think we'll kind of see. It does depend on, well, if I get a run or if anybody I know gets a run. Because yeah, it is. I mean, it's a big commitment. Plus, nobody's really dying to drive or fly to Minneapolis.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, but like I said, like it's got to like obviously I'm sure if I still went, I'd see people I knew and probably have a good time. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's harder to plan when you don't have a lot of close friends. Like split hotel rooms,
Yeah, it's not the
split
boys.
like yeah, like splitting like Uber, splitting hotel rooms, and like people you can kind of like hang out with and stuff like that. Like it's a little tougher.
Do you see yourself ever going to like an ESA or a
I
GDQ,
wanted to go
something
to
like that?
ESA, but then COVID spiked, and I got scared that I was gonna go to Sweden and get stuck
Oh,
there.
that would be awful. Plus having to pay
And
to stay
then
in Sweden.
yeah, that was like my big thing. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do work, and I'm gonna have to pay for a hotel room, and I'm gonna have COVID. Like that would be awful. So then I didn't go to ESA. All my friends went to ESA. Everything was fine. No one got COVID. I'm just like,
I was sitting at home just looking at Twitter. I'm like, I'm so sad. I see like Lexi and Logic and Deo, everybody just hanging out, having a good time. I'm like, I want to be with my friends.
I've just had the worst luck trying to plan for events. So I would love to go eventually, but I don't want to get stuck anywhere because of COVID. That's like my big fear.
Yeah.
If I go internationally, is getting stuck and being quarantined. Um, I love events. I'm very extroverted. I love talking to people. I love hanging out with people in person. It's just with COVID, it's just been really tough.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I try to be cautious. I try to err on the side of caution with COVID. I try to take it seriously.
I mean, it's definitely a serious thing. So it's kind of nice that it looks like things are dying down, getting somewhat back to normalcy, but
Yeah,
there's still a little bit of caution.
my plan is no more winter trips. After ESA, I'm like I'm not planning anything for winter. I think I'm convinced COVID's gonna spike a lot in the winters. Not planning any more winter trips.
In general, I do have to say, I like not getting sick. Like, everybody mask up, being away from each other, just because I'm a baby. Like, I get minor nausea. I'm like, I'm going to die. Nobody talk to me.
Well, I got COVID at the beginning of last year.
Ew, the full,
No,
like, no senses, stuff like that.
no, I might. Oh, I didn't have many problems with my senses except for everything tasted salty. Like
Oh,
everything was salty. No idea why.
free seasoning. Let's go.
It was weird when like I'm drinking coffee and I'm like,
Oh, no,
why
maybe
is my
don't like that.
coffee salty? um, but it was for me it was mostly like it was just like a really bad flu. Like I had a fever, coughing, felt awful, exhausted. I did get a good PV though. That was cool.
Hey, the COVID PV.
Yeah. But yeah, COVID sucks. Don't get it. Don't recommend it. 0 out of 10.
I don't know. I either got something about the time when it started up. This like March 2020. I did a trip to Tokyo and I came back and I just had all this upper respiratory problems. I was coughing all night. Like is miserable, but it was like the start of everything. So they didn't declare it COVID, but I didn't get tested because there weren't tests around yet.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that was
I think I
March
did. I don't know.
2020 was a weird time.
Mhm. It's funny. I
I
do
was
remember like February. Everybody's joking like, "Oh, they got Corona." I drink Corona, and so then
I
for
was
it to
watch-
actually be a real thing was something.
I was watching some YouTube video and it was like saying something like, "Oh yeah, I'm going on a trip, but things are kind of weird right now in March, but we'll see." I was like, "Oh my gosh, they didn't know."
They didn't know.
Oh.
Have you ever done a online marathon, or is that something that's ever interested you?
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's heard of Velocity online. It's a marathon ran by a good friend of mine, Thar, and he and a few other people. I've actually helped him out with a bit of it. I've helped them out with some of like I don't make the layouts, but I make the layouts fit the games he wants.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I've done like helping with like the games selection, and I've done a few runs for that marathon.
Is it? I mean, did you enjoy the whole process?
Yeah, yeah. I think marathons are super fun. I've really wanted to put one on myself, but it's a lot of work and I'm
Oh,
kinda
for
lazy.
sure.
I think I mean, first of all, obviously it goes to a great cause charity. Um, I think I just like planning events, like just the whole process of like you talk to people, you plan things, you have a project in mind, you have a vision of what you want it to be, then you work hard to make it as good as you can, and then at the end of it, you have like this cool product. I love that whole process. That's what got me into film and why I started editing and why I ended up started doing like internet content and stuff like that. It's that whole process of like I have a vision and an idea, and I'm gonna work with people and plan things and figure things out to make it come together. It's just super fun.
I think that's really neat for sure. I'm not a very creative person, so this I do think like even something like this, it kind of gives me an artistic outlet for
Yeah,
something that I didn't know I was even interested in. If that makes
yeah.
any sense.
Yeah, it's super fun. I had experienced a lot of that when I ran my own tournament, and that was like a really fun
Oh, really?
experience of like that kind of stuff of trying to get everything together and trying to put it together. And I think it came out really well.
It's always my fear. Like I always thought it seems like something very cool, but man, trying to organize a bunch of gamers is a little rough.
I got super lucky. I
Oh
don't know
yeah?
how. Like in my experience, one tournament being my experience. Like if you take charge, it's not too bad. Like if what I did was like I would put everyone in a group of a Discord like channel and being like, all right, let's do Tuesday. Does Tuesday work for you guys at this time? And
Hmm.
then they'll say yes or no. And then if someone says no, it's like, okay, then when's the next time? Like we like you have to like really take charge. And then honestly, everything else kind of lined up. So like I would go in like Wednesday at 4:30. How does that work? And then they would be someone. Well, if one person said no about okay Thursday 4:30, and then they'd be like yes, and then it works.
I feel like I vaguely remember this. Maybe was this like a 70-star race tournament or?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome! How I guess how did it go out? Did you compete in it as well?
Oh no, I did not compete in it. I did not want to deal with like planning it and organizing it and commentating it and competing in it. Plus, I would have gotten destroyed. The tournament ended up actually great. It actually turned out really great. I had a lot of positive reception. People said it went out really well. Overall, everything went fairly smooth. I think it had some really great races. It was a great experience overall.
This would be almost my concern, I guess, with a community as large as Mario. Do you feel like you still kind of get that sense of community and develop those friendships and rivalries as you would with
Yeah.
maybe a smaller game?
Yeah, it's harder to break into the larger Mario community, but there are smaller sections of it, you know? So
Yeah, yeah.
like it's a weird thing cuz like being just known as a Mario runner, like there's less of that overall community and it's typically like the better runners get like this overall Mario community sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But you'll find a smaller community. Like there are sections, this friend group, this friend group, this friend group, and you'll find these people like my closest friends are like, people I've known for a while: Jaquarium, Chip Groove, Beeve, Genix, Callie, Green Suigi. Like, we all have like a friend group where we hang out and VC and talk shit and have fun and stuff like that.
And I guess just something like that, at least from what I've seen, it just has required so much practice that it allows everybody to group around like, okay, let's do this together.
Yeah, we'll practice and stuff. We'll help out each other and stuff. And it's not like you have to be a certain skill. Like you like as long as you like meet people and you're cool with them, you'll probably fit in a group, even if you're not the best player in the world and don't grind super hard. Like, you don't have to do that to get to meet people. And then yeah, like we always like hang out, we share advice, share tips, strats. Hey, like, look at this thing I'm testing out. Hey, how do you do this? It's really helpful like anytime, especially because I got lucky and a lot of my friend groups ended up getting really good at the game. Like I
That
met
does help, yeah.
like Chip. I met Chip. He had like a 50 or something like that in 70 star and like a 150 something in 120, and now he's like top 20 in both categories and like making
Ooh.
huge moves and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, Chip, help me out.
I need to, because it's easier to say that like, oh, hey, can you help me, versus actually taking that help. Because for some reason, I think everybody's a little bit defensive of your run, even if you're like, you can say this is bad, but when someone else says this is bad, there's that little defense mechanism, I think.
I think that's a community thing. That is to me, because I noticed that a lot when I ran Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts people do not like asking for help, and it
Really?
pissed me off. Pissed me off because people would be like, "I'm struggling with this," and I'm like, because I knew, again, I guess with Kingdom Hearts I got lucky and I ended up falling in with Logic and like people like Logic and Sid, who are insanely talented runners.
Yeah,
And I would
definitely.
talk to them, and like Logic, the greatest Kingdom Hearts 2 runner, like just easily. And
Well,
he'll be
he
like, yeah,
cheats. I
well,
saw
yeah,
his
he
new
does cheat.
gummy. Yeah, he's
He
cheating.
does cheat. He is a
Hmm.
cheater. He'll admit it. If you ask Logic, do you cheat? He'll be like, yeah. Uh, but he's told me many times, like, I'll help out any runner who comes and asks me, but no one asks me. And then I'll talk to someone. They're like, I'm struggling with this. And I'm like, Logic knows how to do it. Ask him. And they're like, no.
No, no, no.
And I've seen that like around. Just ask people for help, please. Like, the Mario community, I think, is actually, in my experience, is pretty good at asking for help. Just ask people for help. It's not a big deal.
Now, this is, of course, the 100% truth what you say here. What is the best 64 category?
120 star.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, easily.
I feel like people love 70.
Oh, they're wrong.
Oh.
I like 120 star. I'm a big completion kind of guy. I like longer categories and I like categories that do everything.
Oh, yeah. I like the about an hour range. It gives you enough time that you can maybe mess up just a little bit. But then it's also like, okay, when it dies 75% of the way in, you don't want to, cry.
I've been running Ocarina of Time Hundo, so
Yeah, that's a good long one.
yeah, a little bit. I like longer categories. I like categories that do more. I like collecting things. I don't know, there's something like monkey brain in me that's
Oh, for
like, ooh,
sure.
shiny object. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I collected all the shiny objects. I feel great.
Now I mostly got started on like the PlayStation era games, so like Spyro. There is something wrong about not getting like all the gems and stuff like that. And I can agree with that.
It feels great to collect everything.
Have you ever looked at doing BK?
Yeah. So I was tired of Mario, and I was like, okay, let me mess around with a few other games. So I loaded up Banjo Kazooie and started learning Mumbo's Mountain. And I was like, I'm not kind of feeling all this. Maybe I'm just burnt out on speedrunning. Maybe I just need to take a break. And so I was like, let me load up Ocarina of Time. And I was like, oh no, I don't like Banjo.
Yeah, no.
It's a
I
fun game. I like watching runs. Shout outs to like Gage. I love watching
Man, we love
Gage and stuff like
Gage.
that. Yeah, everyone loves Gage. And but like I played the game and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
especially playing Mario is like Mario's so fast paced and so like the movement is so it's fast paced. It's just faster
Yeah.
paced. Like Banjo is a much slower game. I don't think that's like a controversial statement. Um, so going from Mario to Banjo, I'm just kind of like.
It's weird how it's slower and I would say less technical, but it's still so hard.
The thing is, I think that's actually a great example. Is like I don't like when people like try to compare the difficulties of speedruns
Yeah,
because
yeah, for sure.
the easier a speedrun is, the more consistent you're expected to be. Like if you look at Banjo runners, they're playing closer to their sum of best than Mario runners. And they're allowed like there are a lot of bigger mistakes that like cost way more time that just kill their runs. Like most Mario runners are not playing. Like even in 70 star, most runners are not playing within a minute of their sum of best. And in 120, most runners are not even playing within 3 to 4 minutes of their sum of best.
Oh yeah.
Because like, it's just hard, and so you make mistakes. But Banjo, like since it's a little bit less execution heavy, you're not allowed to make as many mistakes, and you're playing closer to your sum of best. So it's difficult in a different way, even if it's not as execution actions per minute,
Mhm.
But it's still like, oh, if you mess up, your run's dead.
I tried a little bit. I started speedrunning because one of my real life friends started doing banjo, and so I kind of got introduced through that. And man, oh, I tried to run it myself, and what a painful experience. I'm just not good at this. So
Yeah,
you get stuck, and it's just like, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me.
yeah. Not every game's for everybody.
But I am curious. So Kingdom Hearts is obviously it's a bit of a bigger game, but definitely not the size of a Mario. So what was that transition like? As a streamer, as a runner?
Well, I transitioned from Kingdom Hearts. I played Ocarina of Time for like 2 months, and then I played Mario.
Oh, is it
um,
weird? I guess like people tend to follow. I suppose.
yeah. So no. Specifically going from Kingdom Hearts to Ocarina of Time was, I think the reason I stopped playing Ocarina of Time was because it was a little bit painful. Because going from Kingdom Hearts to Ocarina, it's such a large jump. Like you're going from like a early 2000s and mid 2000s PS2 game to like a 90s N64 Zelda Nintendo game.
Yeah,
It's
the
like,
controls are definitely not as generous.
well, like as a streamer, like my community was like, I've never played this game. I don't know what's happening. I don't care.
Oh, you didn't
And,
play it before that?
um,
Ocarina of Time, I mean.
like I played it, but my like the people who watched me,
Oh, play it on. Yeah, okay.
yeah. So the people who watched me didn't play it. As far as like, I mean, I've played a ton of speedrun games, and I've been gaming since I was a little kid. So stuff like controls and different feels for the speedruns, that never bothered me. It's never been hard for me to transition to a different run, really. Um, but like I said, as part of like as far as a streamer, when I first transitioned, a lot of people were like, "When is Kingdom Hearts? I wish you were playing Kingdom Hearts. Oh, it's Ocarina of Time again. Oh, cool, you're playing Zelda. I don't understand what's going on. When are you playing Kingdom Hearts again?" And
Dang.
so like it was a lot of like, and that kind of like dampened my mood for a bit, and like my viewers dropped, and like people were not active in chat, and like it was kind of rough. Um, I find Mario's a lot easier because it's Mario. Everyone knows Mario, and
Yeah.
Mario's really easy to understand. Um, like if you've never played Mario before, you go, "Oh, he's jumping fast." Cool. Like you don't need to understand like,
Yeah.
like Kingdom Hearts, you have like stats and abilities and strats, and Ocarina of Time, you have like glitches, and he's getting bottle on. Like I always talked about it, like in Ocarina of Time, like, oh, okay, here I'm dropping bugs and hitting a bomb shoe, so that on the third frame of the shielding I pull out B, so that the game thinks I press B as my last button, so I can get a bottle on my B button, and that affects what's on my C right to enter the game's memory, and that's how I get more bomb shoes. And people are like, what?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
gonna
I'm
be a
playing
minor detail that
Mario.
means a lot to you, but to anyone else, it doesn't add to the spectator experience. I agree.
Yeah, but then I'm playing Mario, and I'm like, here I jump fast, and people are like, cool, you're jumping fast. So Mario's like really like transitioning to Mario is a lot easier because people just they're on board. It's Mario, he jumps. That's really all they need to know. There's a lot, like, not that there isn't a ton of small intricacies in Mario 64. There's a ton if you get into it. But as a viewer and as like a streamer, it's a lot easier to get into. And people were a lot more on board with Mario.
Now, I'm no stranger to switching up. I every now and then I'm just like, okay, it's time for a new game. And right now I'm actually struggling to find anything that's like this really entices me. It's something I'm interested in. So what made you, because I have to imagine it was difficult, it's a large part of your channel. What made you push to doing the Zelda games again after Mario?
I just kind of wanted to.
Hey, that's fair
I mean,
enough.
I just like Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time has been like one of the speedruns I've watched for the longest. It's one of the runs that got me into speedrunning. I've always thought it's one of the coolest runs, and I've always been a run I've really, really wanted. I still watch a ton of Ocarina of Time. It's just a game I've always really, really, really loved, and really loved watching speedruns, and really always wanted to do runs. So it's like, especially like recently, like I kind of took a break from streaming, and I was like, because I was kind of getting this like, it's hard sometimes to decide on a game because there's so many factors, like what I want to play, what do people want to watch, how much do I care what they want to watch,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
but like there's like a mixture because you can't just say like, oh, I'm gonna play what I want to play because you don't always know what you want to play and you don't know what you want to grind for a while, and also streaming to a dead chat isn't the
It takes
most
away from the
fun.
experience after you've already had it for a while.
Like that's one thing like some people don't understand. They're like, "Oh, just play whatever you want. Like, don't care about chat." I'm like, "Okay, but that chat's the reason I stream.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one's watching me play, I'd rather just play in my underwear on my couch than
Right? Yeah.
you know. And then why stream? Why even try to be entertaining? I'd rather just like zonk out with some soda on the couch. But
I,
I did take a break from streaming, and I caught myself. I just want to play Ocarina of Time. And I was just playing Ocarina of Time off stream by myself on my couch, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm
oh,
enjoying
that's
this.
sick. Because yeah,
I'm
if you
playing.
know you have that joy anyway from just playing it. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely found this for myself. I don't know if you feel the same, but after a certain point, I think I kind of changed from, oh, I'm a speedrunner to I'm a streamer that speedruns. At least that's what I found intrinsic joy in, you know?
It's for me, it's always been a battle. It's
Yeah.
always been a battle. There are some days where I'm like, all right, I just want to grind every day, all day, stream. I go to speed run. I'm speed running now. Like I don't care about stream. And then like
Mm-hmm.
next week, I'm like, maybe I'll take a break off the speedrunning. I want to be a
Yeah.
streamer more and talk more to chat and like fix up my layout and fix my mic. And then like it's really hard to find that balance, which is something I do want to talk about on stream soon. Another topic I want to talk about on my stream soon.
Oh yeah, for
Finding
sure.
that balance between speedrun and streamer. I think it's really difficult. And at the end of the day, you have to find out what you want more.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a bit of a I don't know if everyone's felt this. I felt a bit of a negative connotation for streamers who speedrun, like in the speedrun community.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily that like they're bad people or that they suck, but like there's a little bit less respect, I feel.
It's like you don't take it as seriously as
And
someone
and
maybe
and
pushing for a top time.
the thing is like sometimes they're still really, really good
Mm-hmm.
runners. Like I'll see someone get really good times, but I feel like there's a little bit less respect just because they focus more on the stream than their speed run. Even if they are a really good speedrunner too, but just because they're streamer, I feel like there's like a little bit less respect, which upsets me. But
I think I've seen that, especially with like the very big streamers, and 16 Star is very well known for that. You know, you see the Miz Kiffs and stuff like that come in. It's like, oh well, he's not a real speedrunner. And I'm like, well, he's got a better PB than me.
he's got a decent time. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not bad. Um, yeah, I definitely think there's like a lot of like a little bit less respect sometimes there, and I think that could kind of push people away from it because they're like, oh, if I focus on my stream, people are gonna think I'm dumb or something. Or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just do whatever you want.
I found myself, especially when I was kind of taking a little break from streaming and stuff, I did a couple runs offline, and it almost reinvigorates that, like, I did start this because I actually enjoy the run. I like the improving
Yep.
myself, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But it's easy to get lost in that, as we were talking about already. I mean, obviously, the mental confliction.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely difficult, and I mean, like recently I've kind of like taken a little bit of a step back from the speed running. I am trying to focus a little bit more on my stream and kind of shifting my content a little bit from speed running specifically.
Some good friend of the show, CJ, it's all good. He's one of the guys at Speed Docs. He told me something that kind of stood out is that he's more speedrun adjacent, which I find interesting compared to a lot of active runners like Logic who are going out and just destroying everything, right? So where do you see yourself in relation to speedrunning right now?
Right now, I like the idea of more of a speed running adjacent. Like I still want to speed run, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I want to be top runner number one in the world grinding every day, day in, day out. I think I like the idea of more making speed run content because I like speed running and I enjoy it, but I'm just not I don't enjoy grinding every day. And I don't
Yeah.
enjoy, losing runs and then starting up another one. And I don't enjoy all of it. Not to the degree you need to enjoy it to be a world record
Yeah,
holder.
for
Because like
sure.
that's the thing. Is like you can't like speedrunning if you're trying to get a top time in a game like Mario or Zelda. Like you can't be like, oh, speedrunning's kind of cool. I guess I'll just get 120 world record. Like no,
You have to be
like this.
deep into it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, so I think I'd rather like be more speedrun content creating.
Which I think honestly is probably much easier on your psyche.
Yeah,
At least for me. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, of course, but I see like the efforts of top level, and I'm like, I don't know if I have that in me.
it's hard. It's hard. And I think it's very it's there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, and I feel like I think competing just takes a lot out of you.
Now, kind of on a similar note to this conversation, you recently started up doing an interview show. What's
Ye-
for anybody that doesn't know yet, what is that all about?
So yeah, this transitions perfectly. So I've been taking a bit of a break from speedrunning, and I've been trying to focus more on my mental health, and I've been getting a lot bit more into ways to take care of yourself, meditation, self reflection, different strategies and stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting and it's very helpful. And I think speedrunners, I think mental health and like competitive mindset kind of go hand in hand. Like you said, it can be very damaging on your psyche to be trying to speedrun. I think a lot of people lose themselves in the speedruns. They've tied their self value to it, or they get like upset, or like there's like a lot there. And I think we talk about mental health in the speedrun community, but not we don't I think often it's kind of like oh yeah, you gotta watch out for that, or like, oh yeah, take care of yourself, or like it's like in passing during runs, like, oh yeah, I was like going through a tough time and then I took a break. Um, but I don't think there's really anything like diving deep into these topics and like really trying to understand how do we fall in these pitfalls, how do we deal with these, and like how do you get yourself out. Really like understanding um, like, I feel like a common thing I see is, like, you're stupid if you do these kinds of things. Like, I've heard people say, like, "Oh, if you have self-value in your game, you're an idiot." And, like, I don't think that's true. It's not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a good thing to do, but you're not an idiot for doing it. It's difficult, and there's a lot here, and mental health is really complex and really difficult, and not everybody understands why they're doing these things or how to get out of them or how to stop them or what's healthy and what's not. It's difficult because, like, how much of yourself do you put into the game? I wanna be 120 world record holder. You got to put some of yourself into the game. Where do you draw that line? So I really wanted to do. My idea was like I wanted to really do something where I dive deep on some of these topics, really get to like some of the issues and how do people deal with them. So I started interviewing. I've only done 2 interviews so far, but I plan to do more.
I listened to
I
both.
started
They're terrific, by the way. I love that you're opening the door to this kind of conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I interviewed 2 very talented Mario runners and 2 really good friends of mine, Chip Groove and Callie. The first one was mostly focused on comparing yourself to others because people say don't compare yourself to others, but like one, that's impossible. You're not gonna just not compare yourself to others.
Mm-hmm.
Like our brains aren't wired like that. And just like I feel like telling someone, oh, like if you're like, oh, I'm sad because I'm like comparing myself to others and it's tough. And if you tell them, oh, well, then don't do that. It's
Just
kind of
don't,
like
forehead.
yeah,
Oh.
it's like that. It's like, "Oh, have you tried going faster, forehead? Oh, try not being depressed, forehead. Oh, try not comparing yourself to others." And like you got to do it a little bit if you're trying to improve in a speed game. You got to look like, okay, this person is getting better times than me. Why? You know, and you got to figure out something. So
And
we did like, oh sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, so much in the scene is quantitative that it's almost impossible not to, right? Like
You're gonna
viewership,
fall into some of
rankings,
it.
everything just has a number associated with it.
Yeah. So we talked a bit about what parts you should compare, what parts you shouldn't, what happens when someone is outdoing you, outplaying you, what do you do like and like so I really wanted to dive into that topic and then I went again with Callie with a little bit more broad of like a motivation, how do you maintain motivation? Because again, just be motivated or just take breaks or
Hmm.
we tend to oversimplify some of these things. So yeah, I really want to like dive into specific topics affecting both mental health, like one thing I've been saying a lot, and I think I want to be like the slogan of the interviews is like fulfilled individuals make fierce competitors. I think the
Oof,
more
I
healthy
like
you
that.
are, yeah, the more fulfilled you are, the healthier you are, the more confident you are, the better you're going to compete, and you have to take care of it too. Um, and I think talk about these topics and understanding why we fall into these traps and all that kind of stuff. I really want to like dig deeper into it, and I think one of the best ways is to have lots of different perspectives. Like I could tell you my perspective, but my perspective's only worth one perspective. I think I have good ideas, but it's just one person. So I've been trying to have a bunch of different people and a bunch of different streamers talk about their perspectives too, because I think everyone has a little piece to add to it.
And that's, I mean, that's kind of why I started this even. I love to hear the differing perspectives and everybody's just sort of intrinsic value and motivations, and
Oh
because
yeah.
everybody's different, ultimately we're just kind of a combination of our experiences. So to
Yeah.
see everyone's different experience, it excites me, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm excited. I think of it almost like I try to think of it from educational. Like when I go into these
Hmm.
interviews, I'm thinking of it as like I'm gonna learn. Like I usually tell these people, like I'm interviewing, I'm like I want to. I'm the interviewer, but I want you to teach me, and I want you to teach the audience. I'm hoping people come to learn something, like not just like actually get like what's the word? Like the educational, like
Hmm.
okay, I learned something from here, and like my idea is to go in, going like, how do I ask you the right questions to get what you want to say out there to the world, to these people, so that they can learn something and take something away from this interview, and really, hopefully, like come out understanding a little bit more about themselves, especially because I focus on speedrunning because I'm a speedrunner. I know speedrunners, and it's like a nice niche and a nice jumping off point, but I think a lot of those things apply to any area of your life. Comparing yourself to others, that's not unique to speedrunners.
No,
That's not unique to streamers. Motivation, I'm not feeling motivated. That's not unique to speedrunners or streamers. So,
it's human quality, which for sure,
yeah.
just having the bigger picture. And it seems like you have a decent attention to mindfulness and stuff like that, which is definitely gonna be healthy.
Yeah, I try. I try to work on it. I try to work on it. Being mindful and stuff like that.
Now, have you been listening or reading to anything that's kind of inspired you as far as everything goes?
Yeah, so the biggest inspiration was a channel called Healthy Gamer. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Uh, I think so. I've seen at least the thumbnails. I'm like, I should watch that later.
Yeah, so it's a Twitch stream from a psychiatrist who talks a lot about gaming addiction, and he tries to like his is like the same idea but on a much broader spectrum because he's like a psychiatrist for like 10 years and stuff like that, and so he's more into like the but he tries to help gamers, and he does Twitch streams about mental health, and that was like a big inspiration. um I think I think his is a bit more broad, a little bit like I noticed one of the things is like he'll talk about like he's talking about most about people who game and not people who like do this as like a living sometimes,
Yeah,
or doing this competitively. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, like you're gaming too much. You should focus on work." And I'm sitting here like, what if my work is my game? like, so I want to talk more about like specifically competitive gamers and streamers. Like that's like what I think is like my target audience is people who do this not necessarily as like a living, sometimes as a living, sometimes they want to make it a living, sometimes this is just a large part of their life, because you can't like if someone's streaming and they are having mental issues with their stream, you can't just tell them like, oh, you should stop playing video games. It's like that's not
it's an
necessarily
interesting insight too, because I think especially as younger people are growing older, you know, streamer is like the new astronaut. You know, you wake up, you're like, I want to be ninja. Maybe not
Yeah.
a well-aged example, but same
Uh, no,
concept.
they asked kids, and the number one thing kids want to be when they grow up is YouTuber.
But to see that it's not all glitter and gold is, I think, important for sure.
Yes, for sure. Um, and it's I think there's a lot of like mental health things, and I think it's like not really well understood. Like I, I've I've talked to like a therapist, and like he didn't know what the fuck streaming was. Why would he? He's like a 60-year-old
Yeah.
guy who got his PhD like 30 years ago. And like I told him I stream. He's like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "I play games online for people, and they watch." And he's like,
And how is someone supposed
"Cool,
to help
yeah,
with something
good,
they've never
yeah,
heard of? Like,
yeah."
so
And
it's
like,
not making you happy? Have you tried just not doing it?
yeah, like you don't know anything about it, and like I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to like diagnose people,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I don't want to go to school. I don't want to get a medical degree.
Yeah.
But I don't
So
think you need to be a therapist to help people feel more fulfilled.
yeah.
You know, because I mean, therapy is great if you're like, you know, like depressed, like have like medical diagnosis. Like if you need a medical diagnosis, if you're like dealing with intense depression, intense anxiety, other issues like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, like any of those like serious things. But if you're just like a streamer who is feeling unfulfilled and not really getting to the places you want to be, I want to be able to help you with that. Like that's like my end goal is to like be able to help people with that. Like I'm feeling unfulfilled, and I don't know if like what I'm doing is right, or I'm getting into these toxic mindsets, or I'm like beating myself up, and I want to help them with.
I I think what you're doing is very important because I mean everybody needs an outlet just to really. I mean I think a lot of us can relate to, and that's why I enjoyed the episode so much that you've already done. Like, you know what, this is kind of how I feel, and to know that you're not alone in this, because I think especially with like
Yeah,
speedrunner Twitter and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, just don't compare yourself to others. Exactly what you were saying. It's like you're almost just pretending it doesn't exist.
yeah, and I don't think that's the right approach to it. I one of the things I've been really trying to learn and really understanding is like our brains are dumb. Like our brains do a lot of things that are unhealthy for us. Like comparing yourself to others. Like we tell people it's bad and then people feel guilty for doing it. Like they compare themselves to others. You'll compare yourself to someone else and then you'll feel crappy because they're better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll feel crappy because you're comparing yourself to another person. And you're like, I'm not supposed to do this. That's a bad thing to do. I feel bad. And
Mm-hmm.
like this is just like it's just a toxic pitfall of like spiraling downwards of feeling shame and then feeling ashamed that you're ashamed. And like one of the things I really want to do is like it's okay. Like it's okay that you compare yourself to others. You should learn how not to do it. You should learn how to do it healthily. But like you're not stupid for doing it. You're not dumb for doing it. You're not immature. You're not invalid. Like that's an understandable human response that we all struggle with. And I think when you dive into why people do these things, it's people don't usually fall into these traps for stupid reasons. It's not like they wake up like, how do I make myself more depressed?
Yeah.
Like there's something happening here, and there's a reason it's happening. And when you I find when you're finding yourself falling into these toxic traps, and then you realize that you're more understanding to yourself and you're more sympathetic to yourself about why you're doing this, and you're more like, okay, this makes sense. My brain is doing this specific pattern. I think I really liked it when someone talked about being lazy. They were like, I don't like to do things, and I was watching that Healthy
Just
Gamer, and
vaguely
then
put, I don't like to do things.
yeah, I'm keeping it because I don't remember the exact thing, but it's just like a
Mm-hmm.
general idea. And Dr. K, who's the guy on Healthy Gamer, he was saying like, of course your brain wants to pick the easiest option. Why wouldn't your brain want to pick the easiest option? Like that makes perfect sense. Of course you don't want to do these complex tasks. You want to do the simplest thing, and you're literally fighting against your brain's urge to make things as easy as possible. And like I don't know, when you like reframe something like I'm lazy to it's a struggle because my brain of course wants to do the easiest possible thing. I don't know, help me reframe it and help me feel more like sympathetic to myself of like
Yeah. There's something interesting about being able to reaffirm what the rational part of your brain knows, but it's almost like you reject it. So just
yeah.
hearing it from another perspective, I guess, I found super helpful.
Yeah, that's one thing I really want to help out with is understanding that like the toxic things we do is not you're not a bad person for falling into bad
Hmm.
mindsets.
Now, from like that similar realm, do you find yourself to be competitive when you are actively running?
I've learned recently that I'm not,
Oh, really?
and I tried to be. That was one of the reasons. Like one of the first things I did was like talking to Chip about like comparing yourself to others. I thought you had to be competitive to be successful,
Hmm.
and so I tried to be like other people I saw who were successful,
Oh, kind of emulating the
and
behavior.
yeah, I try to force myself to be this like competitive driven person who's like, yes, I need to beat this person. I need to beat this person. It's just not me. I don't think I'm super directly competitive. I think I like it more when I'm just enjoying the game and trying to play the game and trying to get better because I think it's fun to get better at the game. You know,
I,
I like the my favorite part about speedrunning is just any speedrunner knows this where you like you do a trick and it's super easy and you hit it first try and you go, wow, 3 months ago I was pissed because I couldn't hit that at all. And now it's easy. And like that kind of like progression is really nice for me.
hmm.
And that's what motivates me is like when I'm like struggling with a trick, I'm like, I can't wait in like 3 months when this is easy. And then when it is, I feel really proud of myself.
I love that there can be both, you know, like I find that also to be true for myself, but also I know I want this spot, like,
Yeah.
because I do it in melee, do it in speedrunning, do it in pretty much anything in my life. I'm like, I can be playing sorry, and like I need to win. It's
And
just
you know
that part of
what?
your brain, and it's a good motivator at points for sure.
People it's great. And that's the thing. It's like people try to sometimes push their own like you should not be competitive. You shouldn't want number 1. Some people that motivates them. Some
Hmm.
people are competitive. Like I've heard a lot like, "Oh, you shouldn't care about leaderboards. You shouldn't care about trying to like do that kind of stuff." It's like, "Well, that's your perspective and it might work for you, but
Hmm.
maybe you do get really motivated by leaderboard spots. I want to be top 10. If that motivates you to grind and then you feel great when you get it, then that's great. There's
Definitely a
different
certain point, like
styles.
competing against yourself is almost more important, though.
I think it depends on the person, depends on the situation, depends. It's gray and a scale, and it's not
Right,
easy
and
to
nothing has
define
to
all
be
the
black and
time.
white for sure.
Yeah. Some people do get a lot of motivation from others, but you do gotta know when to step off and pull back and not go too crazy on like trying to beat other people.
So, given the games that you have run, what is it that you have found yourself to be like? This is an aspect I like out of things. Like I know I'm a monkey. I just like going fast, and I like technical games for sure.
I think I'm the same. I like the execution.
And
I
I
like
could see that for sure.
one of my favorite parts about Ocarina of Time, and one of the reasons I feel like it's so satisfying is Ocarina of Time is a very, very consistent game. Um, if you don't know, in Ocarina of Time, if you roll forward, you will land on the same pixel every time. If you side hop to the left, side hop to the right, you'll land on the same pixel every time. And there's so many of these like exact setups that like you get into the groove of doing those setups, doing these movements that are like precise and perfect that it's like so satisfying. Like you'll enter a room and you know the inputs you need to press and then you press them all in the right order and you like do it all super quick and it's just like this nice execution challenge that's so satisfying.
I actually didn't know that. I guess I just assumed because large open world game that it wouldn't have those like perfect setups, but I mean it makes sense, right?
I hate it's funny, I hate glitched runs. I hate doing glitched runs. I love watching them. They're great. But
I
I
mean
hate
glitch
doing
runs aren't real speed runs.
I love watching them, but I get so annoyed because it's usually in glitched runs. It's like, oh yeah, jump into this corner and like kind of like shift the control stick, and then you're like glitch through. And it's so annoying to me because like I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is it not working? I'm pissed. But Ocarina of Time, it's like, no, you drop the bomb, and on the fifth frame, the bomb flashes red, you roll. And then when you see this exact visual frame, you backflip and you will get the trick every time.
Which, I mean, it's got to be super nice to actually have this consistency because I've definitely seen runs where it's like, yeah, I don't know, you just kind of wiggle it and pray, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
There are still issues with Ocarina. There are like a few tricks that sometimes just don't work. I
Hmm.
have no idea why. Not every single perfect trick is perfect. I'd say 90% of them have very consistent setups. There's like 10% that are stupid. Um, Also, like, one of the really common things in Ocarina of Time is like, "Oh, I paused a frame late." That's dead run.
Yeah, that sucks. That super sucks.
Uh, so, like, it's still hard, and then, like, but that's one thing I really like is that execution challenge and that, like, consistency in it, like, it's very
Hmm.
clear what you're supposed to do.
And we talked about it a bit with BK, but do you have any other games that you love to watch the run for, but you have no intention to ever pick up yourself?
Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh yeah?
That's my number 1 run. I love watching Sonic Adventure 2 runs, and no part of me wants to run it.
Man, some people they love that game, and I guess I missed
I
it
love that
as a
game.
kid. The 3D
Oh,
Sonics just have never done anything for me.
I spent hundreds of hours as a kid. Like, I have a file with, like, 300, 400 hours on it.
So, Hero Story or Dark Story?
Hero Story is more fun. It has more Sonic levels. And
It's
Eggman
got that
levels
banger
are
soundtrack. I know that
long.
much.
Everyone likes Hero. Well, I mean, honestly, when I watch runs though, I really like watching 180 emblem runs.
Oh God, so long.
I love those long collection runs. It's something so cool
True.
about someone who has to go through every single stage and get an A rank in all of it. Like I'm not gonna sit there and watch the full 9 hour run, but I love like clicking on and seeing someone getting A ranks in every stage. It's so cool.
Now, I always find this interesting, just how small speedrunning can be. Do you know Prophet, Broken Prophet?
I don't know him. I've seen him in chats, but I don't know them personally.
Okay, yeah. It's just kind of interesting how it can all work out. Everybody seems to know someone one way or another, and I had him on this show, is why I asked.
Uh, the only Sonic Adventure 2 runner I've ever like talked to is D Trader.
I can't say I
I
know too much about that scene. I think the only reason I know anything about that game is because of Prophet, really.
ah yeah, I've seen him in D Trader's chat. So,
Hmm.
but I'm not like super into the scene. I just lurk. I lurk in Talon stream. I'll lurk in D Trader's stream. I'll lurk in some other streams.
Now, I guess opposite side of the lurker perspective, is there any future game you're looking to maybe pick up? Anything on your horizons right now?
I think as far as grinding games go, I think I'm sticking to Mario and Zelda, and specifically the N64 ones. Um, I think when it comes to like this is a game I'm gonna grind and play for a long time and really try to get like good at. I think that's really the only two that really give me that drive. And I like keeping it a little because like the more games you run, the you're not gonna be as good at all of them.
Right.
So, but as far as like, I still love to like run games randomly. I love to play Paper Mario. That's a super fun speed run. It's so chill. Don't get good at that game. Because the better you get, the more difficult runs you do, the more RNG it gets. But I do like the beginner glitchless route, and it's so comfy. It's chill. It's easy. There's no way your run's gonna die to RNG. There's RNG in it, but you're not gonna die to RNG. It's super nice, and I'll do other stuff. I'll probably run Banjo at some point. I did like a
Yeah,
speed
maybe soon,
run.
TM.
No, not soon. I'm not gonna lie. I won't lie to you guys. That's not anytime soon. Um, I'll probably like run other little games. I want to run Sonic Adventure with one of my friends, Fleeting Azure. He's a friend of mine. He's like, I want to learn it. And I'm like, okay, I'll learn it with you. Let's go. Who cares? Probably do it for like a week, if that.
Yeah, I've thought the N64 games look very cool. I played a lot of like DK64 as a kid, so I looked into it, and man, that run's just so broken. I'm like, maybe not that game.
Yeah, speaking of broken, glitchy runs, DK64 is insane.
Hmm. Now, what about, have you ever looked at like the Switch titles, like an Odyssey or maybe Breath of the Wild or anything like that?
So yeah, I Odyssey has motion controls, so
Oh yeah, I'm not a fan either.
I'm also just not a
Rolling and
big.
rolling and rolling, and like that seems like it would get awful after,
I,
especially for consistency's sake. I'm a big fan of consistency.
I tried Breath of the Wild, but it has a lot of that like, okay, so to clip into this shrine, you like aim at this section and then like
Hmm.
jump and fiddle around with the stick. And I got so tired of trying to clip into those shrines, I was like, screw this game.
I will say I do want to learn the meme speedrun a little bit. Butter dog, dog with the butter on him. Just because I
Memes,
mean it's, I love that dog.
meme
So
speeder.
the meme is so good.
Uh, I find the newer the game, the more inconsistent. Like I feel like newer games tend to have glitches, but they're really inconsistent. Like it's not like, oh, this wall just like Mario. There's like this one section HMC just doesn't have a ceiling. You
Oh
just jump
yeah,
over it
yeah.
because there's just no ceiling.
They didn't think people were gonna be jumping over the wall.
Yeah, and like that's what I love about these old N64 games is like they're broken, but they're broken in this really like this perfect way for speedrunning because it's like now a lot of the clips are a lot. There's not as much consistency in a lot of the glitches, and I like the older games because it's just like there's no ceiling.
As an experienced runner, then, do you recommend that people pick up the games that they used to love as a speed game, or find something else?
It's so tough. It's so tough. I think recommending speed games is really, really difficult because what makes a good speed run is not the same that makes a good casual game.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is definitely some merit in like, oh yeah, pick up some of your favorite games, but that's not necessarily true. You can love a casual game for a ton of different reasons than you love a speed. Like Ocarina of Time. I love Ocarina of Time as a speed run. As a casual game, it's one of my less favorite Zelda games. It's old. It's not as
Yeah.
good as the newer ones. I would pick, Twilight Princess over Ocarina of Time in a casual playthrough any day of the week. But in a speedrun sense, the reasons I love them as speedruns is completely different. Um, I think it's tough. You gotta like obviously do games you enjoy that you are interested in. You're like really interested in. Watch runs, see if they're kind of the stuff you kind of like, and you gotta like feel for it. Like maybe you love doing glitches, maybe you hate doing glitches, maybe I like a game with a lot of breaks, maybe you hate cutscenes and want all action. I think it's like you can't know before you try.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely found that sometimes learning a speed run for a game demystifies the game. Like I can never casually go play like a Crash game again. Some like a Hollow Knight, I can't just like go and experience the bosses. I'm like, what's the optimal
Yeah.
way to kill this guy? It's
Yeah, speedrunning Kingdom Hearts kind of killed some of my love
oh,
for
I
that
bet, yeah.
game. Made me a little sad. Every time I look back at Kingdom Hearts, I'm like, I want to play it, but
Are you excited for 4 or? Okay, thank you. I'm glad. I was going to be like, yeah, it looks cool if you said yeah. But really, like, the third game just kind of made me not care about the series having a new title again. And like the story, they don't even know what's going on. The gameplay
I
wasn't as
I don't want to
exciting
get
to
into my
me.
whole Kingdom Hearts spiel, but I'm one of those people that's like after 2, everything's been kind of downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I like 1, I like 2. Chain of Memories is kind of fun. Everything else is pretty bad.
We'll see how many times this one gets pushed back to.
I won't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying attention.
Now, we are reaching somewhat close to our end, so I'm going to begin wrapping up. What is one tip that you may have to potential new runners, or that someone that might be caught in a rut?
I mean, I think that like the best thing is like try different things. Like I love Mario, and the reason I started running Mario is because I have no idea what I want to speedrun. I have totally aimless. I picked up Sunshine because I thought it'd be. I did a poll from a ton of different games, and my community picked Sunshine, and I did a week of Sunshine runs, and I was like, wow, this is super fun. But I hate the flood. I should try
Really?
Mario 64. Well, I hate the flood in a speedrun. Again, casual
Oh,
speedrun.
okay,
Different.
okay.
I hate it as a speedrun sense. I don't like Sunshine as a speedrun game. But I liked the stages where you just play as Mario. And I was like, man, if only there was a speedrun game that you just play as Mario and don't have the flood. And then I ended
Wait a
up
minute.
grinding Mario 64. I never wanted to run Mario 64 before that. I used to talk shit on it. Be like, it's a stupid game. I hate that game. And then I just started running it. Going the less expectations you go in with, the better, and just try stuff. I didn't go into Mario 64 expecting myself to love it, expecting to get invested in the community. I did it because I was like, I like Sunshine. Let me try out Mario. And then I ended up grinding it seriously for like over a year. So
Actually, I
never would
found
have known if
myself
I
in the
just
same
tried.
boat. I'm like, man, Mario's kind of overrated. And all it took was like actually learning some of the things that people do. And like, oh, wait a minute. You just do this, and this is how you actually gather speed. And it starts to
Yeah.
just flow together so well because like it's just clunky. It seems
Oh,
very
it's clunky.
punishing.
It's very punishing and very clunky. Those are true. But I mean, like every game, yeah, I say go in with less expectations and try new things. Don't go into Mario expecting like it's the greatest speed game ever. I want to do it, or it's overrated and stupid. Don't go into a game expecting anything.
Now, I'm taking influence from the sadly on hiatus retired podcast Overboost from PMC Trilogy, some that he liked to do, and I'm hoping to incorporate it. Can you give me any question, no matter how dumb, for our next guest?
Oh God. I don't know who the next.
Probably should have gave you some heads up. So if you don't have anything right now, that's fine.
I guess just ask them what is like the most frustrating trick in their speedrun. I guess I don't.
Okay. It could have been
What's
like, what do you like on a sandwich? It don't matter to me. Just something.
what's like that one trick that people don't think is super difficult, but you hate. And like
Ooh.
everyone thinks it's super easy. Everyone's had that where people are like it's free, it's super free, and then you just can't do it.
Now, because obviously I don't have a question for you since you're the first of the season, what's your answer to that?
Oh shit. There's this trick in a Zelda Ocarina of Time called Hessing. It's super important, and it's a hard trick, but I feel like I have just struggled with it. Like I've been playing for a while. I'm barely recently getting the hang of it. Like it's hard, and people know it's hard, but I hear people like, yeah, it's pretty tough, but like it's not like you'll get used to it. And actually, like it took me forever to get used to it.
It is weird how some things like in a game will just click. You're like, I cannot do this, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. And then after a while, it's like, I think you were talking about a bit earlier, you're like, oh, yeah, I can do this is free
Yeah,
now.
it just clicks. Yeah. It's clicking for me now. I'm starting to get it, but man, it took me forever. I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Now, I am definitely open to feedback, and I'm sure, comment section, Discord, anywhere, people be sure to let me know. But is there anything you wish I would ask you?
No, I think you did actually a pretty good job of covering a lot of bases. I mean, I can't think of. I mean, I like talking about the speed games. Like that's me personally. Like if you ask me more questions about like specific speedrun stuff, I wouldn't mind talking about it. I love talking about Mario and Zelda. I'll go on for hours, but yeah, I think you did a pretty good job.
Definitely. I feel like there's a lot of other talk shows that people, talk about their speed game, and I like to give people a chance to talk about themselves because a lot of people, you watch the streamer, they're caught up in the run, they have chat, and it kind of takes away focus from them as a person. So it's been interesting to get to know people on a deeper level like that.
I think you did a really good job.
Well, thank you. And thank you again for joining me today. So where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/NicV. It's spelled like it is in the title, NICV. I'm doing I'm setting up. I did those 2 interviews, and those are kind of like my my like preliminary pilot interviews. I was treating them as like test examples. So pretty soon I'm gonna start trying to do more interviews per week. I'm probably gonna start doing runs again, streaming up again soon. I do have a YouTube channel. It's not fully set up yet, but if you go to if you go to my stream, you can link to it and stuff like that. That's where I'm uploading the full interviews. But yeah, so Twitch is probably the best way to find me.
Yeah, everybody be sure, drop a follow, give them some love. If you like the show, drop a follow here. Looking to do this once every couple weeks, and highly recommend for sure everybody check out the NicV interviews YouTube channel because they were very insightful.